Welcome to the Crowned for Ministry podcast, where leadership, growth, and authenticity come together. I'm your host, Josh McElhaney, and we're here to empower you to live out your calling, grow in your faith, and lead with purpose. Let's dive into real-life challenges and discover what it means to be crowned for ministry. Welcome to Crown for Ministry, the podcast, where we dive deep into leadership, personal growth, and authentic faith. I'm your host, Josh McElhaney, and I'm excited that you've decided to join me today. This is our first episode of Crown for Ministry, and if you're tuning in for the first time, well, you're right on time because we are just barely getting started. Now, in today's episode, I want to introduce you to the vision behind Crown for Ministry, what it's all about, and why I felt led to create this platform and what you can expect moving forward. But first, I'd love to share just a bit about my journey, how God has shaped me into the man I am today. So get comfortable, grab a cup of coffee, or if you're like me, maybe it's a Red Bull or a sugar-free Monster, and let's dive in. So my story, it's filled with some highs and lows, some breakthroughs and some breakdowns. But through everything, there has been an underlying theme of God's grace guiding my steps. And I think my story might resonate with more people than even I ever imagined. But I kind of want to just go back to the beginning. So I didn't grow up in a godly home. I didn't grow up in Christian environment. I grew up in a kind of dysfunctional type of atmosphere. And I gave my life to Christ at 15 years of age. And that moment was so powerful and so vivid. It wasn't just about joining a church. You see, when I came to God, I surrendered myself to a calling that was so much bigger than me. Early on, I knew God had something in store for me, but I had no idea of the journey that God would lead me on. Over the last 20 years, I've worn many hats in ministry. I've been the guy leading service, the young guy teaching Bible studies. I've taught the adult Sunday school class. I've been a church graphic designer. I've been a church creative director. I was an assistant pastor for a decade, and I had the privilege of being a lead pastor of my home church here in Tyler, Texas, for just about 3 years. And through everything, every hat I've worn, every piece of ministry that I've been privileged to be a part of, one thing has remained absolutely constant, and that is my heart for not just leadership, but helping other people grow in their full capacity in their walk with God. Now, I've served in churches. I've helped build leadership systems and even wrote several books on these topics. But like many of you listening today, I've also experienced some real challenges that have challenged what it was that I felt God was calling me to do. I've gone through moments of hurt. I've been betrayed and felt abandoned by people that I thought were in my corner. I went through a traumatic divorce and was the victim of an extramarital affair. And if you told me just a few years ago that I would be launching a podcast like this, I would have laughed in your face. But God, in His faithfulness, has been so good to me, and He has helped me not only find healing and restoration through the pain and the hurt and the rejection that I experienced, but He gave me a second chance at life, a second chance at ministry, and a second chance at love with my lovely wife, Emily. I'm remarried to my best friend. We are raising an incredible family, and we had spontaneous triplets, and that's another story for another day. But all of the things that God has led me through has shaped my heart and my message for this ministry. And that's really where Crown for Ministry was born. You see, after I had resigned from my pastorate, after the news of the affair came out, and I walked away from that church that I thought I would retire at, I really struggled, if I'm being honest and very transparent with you today. I really struggled finding my place in ministry going forward. You see, I had kind of viewed everything that I had done as these stepping stones that were leading me to my ultimate destination, which was pastoring that church. I thought all the experiences that I had gathered, the different places that I had served, all of those things were God's stepping stones that would help me ultimately reach the place that He was calling me to go. And without that title underneath my name, I really struggled with where I fit. Where did I belong? And then add to that the layer of, man, I'm a pastor, I'm a minister, but I'm now divorced. How does this fit in your plan, God? And it took about 5 years of just kind of navigating that um, tangled web of insecurities and frustrations and some bitterness even about what God was doing in my life until I finally came to this pivotal moment. And we'll discuss this more in some future podcasts. I plan on doing a deep dive here pretty soon on my book, Narcissistic Christianity. And that book was really a culmination of a long journey that I had with God in relation to my experiences with Him and with leadership. And so through that journey, Crown for Ministry was born. And it was born from this idea that no matter where you've been and no matter what life may have thrown your direction, God has a purpose for you. Yes, you. You see, you have been crowned, not by man, but by God Himself for a specific calling and a specific purpose. And that's exactly what I want to help you tap into through this podcast. So what is Crown for Ministry really about? At its core, it's about leadership, but not just any type of leadership. You see, sometimes we throw that word around, leadership, and we just say, oh, well, that's for the pastors, that's for the department heads, those are for people who have some type of official title. But authentic leadership that's rooted in Christ, that's rooted in service, that's rooted in humility, has nothing to do with titles or positions. You see, leadership is about influence, and every single one of us has influence, whether you're a pastor, whether you're a parent, a teacher, or just a friend. You are leading somebody. But it's more than that. You see, Crown for Ministry is about personal growth. It's about transformation. It's about helping you become the person God has called you to be. And sometimes that means navigating through the messy parts of life, the areas where we all fall short or where we've been hurt. And that's okay. I've been there. This is a space where we're going to talk about the real stuff. Am I narcissistic in my relationship with God? It's a tough question that we have to come to terms with. We're going to talk about stuff like overcoming personal battles, insecurities, to be fully unlocked in our full potential, to be who God has called us to be, how to grow in our calling when it feels like we're stuck and not making any progress. If you're listening to this podcast right now and you've ever felt like you're not enough, or maybe you've made too many mistakes, or you kind of dropped the ball and you don't feel like you can be used by God, let me remind you, you are crowned for ministry. This is not a platform for perfect people. It's for those who are willing to grow, those who are willing to learn and take a step into the life that God has called for them to walk in. Now, I want to give you just a little sneak peek at what's to come on the next podcast that we're going to be launching here. And we've got some incredible stuff lined up. In the upcoming episodes, we're going to dive deep into topics that I'm passionate about. We're going to do some deep dives in some of the books I've written, including Narcissistic Christianity and Rooted, two of my more recent books. We're going to do some practical lessons for leaders. We're going to talk about some strategies to help people who are looking to find their place in ministry. We're going to explore what it means to lead in a world that's messy and how to grow in faith when life isn't picture perfect, because let's be real, it's not always picture perfect. You can expect raw, real conversations that dig deep into the scriptures, but also into our everyday struggles. We'll have episodes on narcissistic Christianity. We'll tackle the real issues of selfishness in the church. And trust me, these episodes will challenge you, but they'll also inspire you to shift your mindset so that you can live out your faith with humility and service. I'm also really excited. We've got a lineup of guests that's going to be coming, other authors, other ministry leaders, people who have been through the fire and came out on the other side. These are individuals who have incredible stories and insights into leadership, insights into faith, and just life itself. We're going to have conversations that will make you think, but that will challenge you and hopefully encourage you in your walk with God. And so whether you're a leader in the church, whether you're a leader on your job, whether you're a leader in your home, someone just looking to grow in your relationship with God, or maybe you're just curious about how to live out your calling, well, this podcast is for you. So here's what I want you to do. I want to make sure you subscribe to the Crown for Ministry podcast, whether you're listening on Spotify or on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. You're not going to want to miss the episodes we've got coming up. And if something in today's episode spoke to you, or if you're feeling inspired or maybe even challenged, I'd love for you to leave a review or share this podcast with someone who needs to hear it. And before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and for being a part of this journey with me. I believe that God has so much in store for you, and we're going to walk this journey of growth, leadership, and faith together. You are crowned for a purpose, and I can't wait to see all that God is going to do through you and in you. And until next time, keep leading, keep growing, and remember that you have been crowned for ministry. God bless you, and I'll catch you on the next episode.